Everybody, this is Jim Kurtz, and welcome to the Future of Farming Today and Innovations in Agriculture. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about our good friends, the petrochemical companies. And I say this, I want to say this for this episode, not from the standpoint of making enemies out there. I don't really want to make enemies for the guys who are selling petrochemicals or producing them, whatever. At the end of the day, you know, there was a solution that was needed in agriculture 60, 70 years ago, and that solution was petrochemicals, spraying pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, disease killers, surfactants, other types of chemicals, and they actually took production from a very low level where it was, around World War II, the early part of the 20th century, and they ushered in a new revolution of productivity in agriculture. But that was 50, 60 years ago. And unfortunately, now we are experiencing sort of the fallout of all of that chemical use. Now, of course, the chemicals have gotten better. They've gotten less destructive. They've gotten, more effective and more efficient in various things. But at the end of the day, I think people are finally starting to realize the importance of food and the importance of the quality of food. And the reason I picked up this thing, and I apologize for the problem here, but let me go over here. This little picture here we have on this blackboard, if I can get my thing centered right. See this little circle there above my head. Now, above the circle here, this shows the pie graph of the whole of agriculture. And as you see here, 95% of agriculture right now is conventional, and it's using petrochemicals. Now, what petrochemicals means in a nutshell is they're using, let me sit down here, sorry. Petrochemicals, this means that they're using oil-based chemicals for agriculture. Now, some of these chemicals are fertilizers. Basically, they're designed to help deliver, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, these various things to the plants in an effective way. A lot of these petrochemicals are actually designed to kill what we would consider pests. Now, pests include weeds. They include funguses, that are not, like molds and those types of things, molds, mildews, things that would normally be destructive to fruit and plant production. We're not talking about the mycorrhizae and the positive funguses that are part of the plant's ecosystem that actually helps the plant thrive, right? We're talking about molds, mildews, different, botrytis, these different types of things that are destructive to plants or destructive to fruit and vegetable production, right? So they have fungicides, they have disease killers, they have nematodes in the soil that are negative for the soil. And there's some nematodes are good, some nematodes are bad. So we're talking about the ones that would be destructive to plant growth. There's all these chemicals that were devised in an effort to control these pests. In other words, to reduce or suppress these non-beneficial organisms in the plant's environment so that the crop plants could actually thrive and produce more fruit. And of course, it did produce that result. It did move things forward for us. Now, the negative side of using petrochemicals in agriculture is, and I think most farmers would agree with this, is that it actually harms soil health. It actually reduces microbial activity in the soil, and it actually can kill microbiology in the soil. It could actually cause nutrient imbalances in the soil where, if you're adding NPK fertilizer, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, fertilizers, and then what happens about all the other elements in the soil? Then it can actually create deficiencies in things like manganese or calcium or other types of nutrients that the plant also needs. And it's kind of like if you take vitamins, right? If you just took nothing but vitamin C and you pounded, 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day, right? But you're not also adding B vitamins and other types of vitamins and minerals that your body needs, you're still going to have health problems. In fact, it can create vitamin imbalances and deficiencies in other vitamins because you're overloading it on certain minerals or certain things that the plant needs or that you would need, and you're underwhelming it or creating deficiencies in other areas. And that's unfortunately what's been happening with commercial agriculture over the last 50 years. And it's been a kind of a slow decline, but it really is like a dwindling spiral, and it actually gets worse and worse and worse. And farmers right now are kind of faced with a difficult decision because a lot of farmers are looking at like, I can't really farm at this point because of the damage we've done to the soil, because of these petrochemicals and the negative effects that have accumulated over time. They can't necessarily get out a good crop without using. So now they're like, well, the public really wants healthier, healthier food, right? They want more nutrient dense food. They want healthier food. But they're looking at it like it's a producer saying, how can I produce healthier food when I have to use these chemicals just to get a crop out? In other words, I can't just immediately go to organic because the insects are going to overtake my farm, or the mold and mildews and other factors are going to just ravage my crops, and I'm not going to get a crop out. And then I'm out of business and I'm broke. So it's a difficult situation for farmers to be in, and they're looking at like they kind of have to use these products, and they don't necessarily always want to. And the more and more farmers I talk to, the more and more people are telling me, I don't want to use these chemicals. If you could show me a solution where I can actually grow a good crop and not use these chemicals, then I would, of course, use your solution. And the whole point of today's episode is I want to tell you guys there is a solution. And yes, it is the Cheminosi Plant Booster. We've been promoting this product. We've been talking about various aspects of agriculture, talking about the benefits that we provide to farmers all over the world. But our key goal and our key mission is to actually help reduce things that are toxic to not just humans and not just people eating the fruits and vegetables, but it's toxic to the soil and the microbes in the soil. It's toxic to our environment because nitrogen and other chemicals will leach up into the atmosphere or leach out into the groundwater and cause all kinds of other different ecological disasters. And it doesn't have to be this way. I mean, we can avoid a lot of this situation. We can take care of the problems that farmers are facing right now and do it in a way that's natural and sustainable and doesn't require a lot of extra petrochemicals. And it really is the way out of this dwindling spiral, so we can stop, causing all this damage to the environment and causing all this damage to human health. I mean, if we really look at where the nutritional value of the food that's being grown today versus where it was 30, 40 years ago or 50 years ago or 60 years ago, I think most nutritionists would agree that the quality of food has actually diminished substantially in the last 2 to 3 decades. And because of that, we're eating more food, but we're getting less nutrition. Now, think about that. If we're worried about ending world hunger, it's not about growing more food. It's about having nutritious food so that we all get the nutrition we need without having to just stuff all this food in our face, right? So I want to show you a little bit more about just a few examples of how we're helping farmers reduce their petrochemical usage and how you can take advantage of this on your farm so that you can grow healthier food for everybody. And you can make more money with this than you could with petrochemicals. And that's the big surprise that a lot of our farmers have told us. It's not so much that they're surprised that our technology works. I mean, that seems to be the first hurdle, of course, but they're really surprised that they can get a good yield and a good quality yield and improve their quality without having to harm the environment. It seems like a too good to be true type scenario, but the real reason why we're really able to do that is because we really unlock the key, the underlying cause of a lot of these issues. And when you can do that, you really can achieve a great result. So let me share my screen with you. I just want to show a few examples here of how we're helping farmers reduce petrochemical usage and show you how you can benefit from this as well. So again, our mission, very simple: help farmers grow healthier, better quality crops. That's very simple. Now, the basis of our technology is that we've analyzed a lot of different life forms, but a lot of different plant varieties. We've discovered the exact frequencies that plants need in order to grow and produce a lot of energy during photosynthesis. And because of that, we've looked at healthy, productive plants and seen and mapped out the exact photosynthesis process from a bioenergetic standpoint. So we actually have figured out the exact timing mechanism that plants have in order to achieve the maximum amount of energy. And when you do that, you can take unhealthy stress plants like you see on the right here and turn them into healthy, productive plants like you see on the left. We've been doing this for the last 20 years, and we've really been doing this with this existing version of our technology for the last 2 years and getting amazing results. Now, we just attach these transmitters to the outside of a water source, and the water carries the signals to the plant. It's a very, very simple device to use. You just attach it to your irrigation system and water your crops. It's really that simple, and our system will do the rest without chemicals, without any kind of material input. Now, I'll mention here that one of the key things that we get, questions we get from organic growers especially, is this certified organic? Does OMRI or the NOP or these various organizations, have they certified your product? Now, the interesting thing is our system does not utilize fertilizers, does not use chemicals, it does not use minerals, and there's no material input. It's a radio wave signaling system that's really just retuning and realigning the natural frequency patterns of plants and allowing them to absorb nutrients and water more efficiently and utilize them more efficiently for the maximum amount of gain. Now, we are not magnets. I'll mention that here. We are not a magnetic solution, just so you guys know. And again, we have a very easy installation. But the key points I want to bring up here is I don't want to focus so much on the the increases in in yield and the improvements in growth and that kind of stuff. I want to kind of focus on what is typically the requirement for these petrochemicals. In other words, why are farmers using it? If petrochemicals are so bad, why do farmers continue to use it? The bottom line is they feel they have to. I mean, let's take a look at this greenhouse now. These greenhouses that have pepper plants in there, paprika peppers are being grown here. Now, the agronomist told us that he typically sprays a fungicide and sometimes an insecticide in this greenhouse. So even though the greenhouse is covered, they get insects, soil-borne insects that fly around and start eating up the plants. And they also get what's the biggest problem with an enclosure is humidity and heat. And humidity and heat will create funguses and bacteria growth. And it really can spread very rapidly from plant to plant because those spores get into the cellular structure of the plant. They go back out just like a virus and they actually infect other plants. The interesting thing about this is the Humidity plant booster, because of its dense cellular structure that it creates with the plants, that the funguses and other microbes don't penetrate into the plants and they can't reproduce, they can't spread. So this particular grower actually told us this is the first time in 17 years that he didn't spray his greenhouse, the greenhouse that he's using Humidity in, because the plants were not spreading these funguses or this mold from plant to plant the way they usually do. And it was a very interesting thing for him that he didn't have to use pesticides. Now, another example here is a field application where we had tomatoes. And yes, we did increase the quality of tomatoes, but we really, again, he didn't have to spray insecticide. He didn't have to spray fungicide. He didn't have to spray any type of herbicide or anything else on his treated field. Now, why is that? Because the Humidity plant booster is making the plant and the soil so healthy that these natural carcinogens or the natural insects or nature's sort of garbage collectors, if you will, don't attack the Humidity plants. They go to other fields because insects are naturally genetically designed and programmed to attack weaker plants that are not healthy. Because again, the role of an insect in nature's overall food chain is to break down weak plants and help convert those into fertilizer so that stronger new generation plants can come forth and take over. And that's how nature cycles, right? However, if the plant is healthy, the insects are not going to attack those fields. It's not going to be a problem. And as I just mentioned, with funguses and other diseases, if the cellular structure of the plant is enhanced, and the cellular structure of fruit is enhanced, the possibility of these pathogens getting into the fruit and actually penetrating in and destroying the fruit from the inside out is reduced. And that means that you're going to lose a lot less fruit with a Humidity than without. Again, I have a number of examples here. Here's another example where, again, we increase the yield of melons, but they have this minor fly. It's a type of insect that basically comes in, burrows into the melons, and actually ruins them. So they're basically saying they had a lot less instance of minor fly in the treated fields, and they said that they were losing about 20 to 25% of their production because of this pest. With Humidity plant booster, they didn't have to spray the field, and they didn't lose this level of production. So they actually got a very good production going forward. And here we have soil-borne nematodes. Again, nematodes are not all nematodes are bad, but in this case, these nematodes were creating lesions on the artichokes and actually causing a lot of them had to be thrown away. But with the Humidity plant booster, he had 50% less lesions due to these nematodes. In other words, the nematodes were, again, avoiding the treated field. They were going elsewhere because they wanted to attack weaker plants. And the Humidity plants were, of course, very, very much stronger. And this also resulted in more production as well. Sometimes you can get more production just by reducing loss, like for example, with insects or disease. If you can cut out all your insect loss or your insect damage or your other problems here, you might get 20, 30% without even necessarily even increasing your yield beyond that. Corn applications. Another application here was on grapevines. Again, in this particular grower, he had 48% of his control, his untreated grapevines, had these little spider mites, these little urophid mites, these tiny little mites that, again, they get into the grapes and they lay their eggs in there, and of course they can't use them anymore, right? They can't sell them. So you have to throw out 20, 30, 40% of all your grapes because of these little mites are inside them. The Kiminasi plants, though, had a reduction of that from 48% down to less than 10%. In fact, after 2 seasons, he said he had less than 1% infection rate. So imagine if you're losing 30% of your crops every year and you're just used to it. Imagine if you just got those crops back. You didn't even increase your yield beyond that. You just got those crops back where there was a very low instance where you're losing a lot of this stuff. That means you're going to be producing 20, 30% more yield just on the fact that you've recovered your lost crops there. Again, a number of different benefits here, but just sticking with pests and insects, we got more production, better quality, et cetera. That's very common. Again, we're addressing the health of the plant. And when you can address the health of the plant directly, you're going to see dramatic results here. I wanted to see if I can show you a couple more examples of insects here. I think we have to go to the rest of my presentation. Just to let you guys know, I got to update this. I keep meaning to update this presentation because now, I mean, this only shows probably like 20 or 30 farms. We've got about 100 farms in the United States. South America, we've got well over 500 farms now. Even in Central America, we've probably got at least 3 or 4 dozen. Here's another example of insect problems. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, when you have weak soil and weak plants, then you're going to have a lot of insect damage because they're just going to devour these plants. And you see on the control field here, in this is example of eggplant in India, the leaves are just being decimated by these insects and by these larvae too. And the Kiminasi field, literally right next door to it, had almost no insect damage. There's no holes, no insect damage, nothing. And again, the reason why is that Kiminasi plants are healthier. Healthy plants have their own biochemical defense mechanisms against insects, and they have stronger cellular structure, so they resist disease and other infections as well. So you don't necessarily need to spray a lot of these chemicals if your plants are healthy. But if your plants are not healthy or your soil is not healthy, yeah, you're going to need those chemicals. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's a dwindling spiral when you have to continue to use sprays. And again, here's another one where you have rice paddies and you have reduction of nematodes and funguses in the treated field here. Now, you take a look at just the volume here of the paddies, and you see, of course, with the Kiminasi plant booster on the right, a much denser canopy with a lot more shoots and a lot more, growth on the side as well, per the root structure. So, I can go on and I could share hundreds of examples if I want, but the bottom line is, let me get back here. Sorry. The bottom line is, if you guys are interested in growing healthier, better quality crops, if you don't want to use petrochemicals anymore, if you want to reduce that cost, number one, because you're paying for those chemicals, and you want to grow a healthier product you're going to be able to sell for more money and your customers are going to be a lot happier with, then you should really check out Kiminasi, check out harvestharmonics.com and check us out. We would love to work with you. I mean, at the end of the day, farmers are looking for that solution. They're looking for that magic bullet all the time, right? But yet when they see a magic bullet, they look at it like, I don't believe it, right? I'm going to tell you the simplicity, and this is just logic. It makes logical sense. You've seen a lot of our case studies already. We have universities trials underway, but I just want you to take a second and think logically. If you have a product that can increase and improve plant health and plant metabolism, doesn't it make sense that those plants are going to produce more yield, better quality yield, resist insects, resist disease, resist funguses, and just overall be a much more healthier, beneficial crop, and you're going to get a more consistent crop year over year? I mean, doesn't it make sense if the plants are healthy, you're going to get all those benefits, right? So it's not like we're magic or snake oil or anything else. We actually have a scientifically proven, well-developed technology that can handle the core of most of the problems farmers are dealing with. In fact, all the reasons why you're using petrochemicals right now can be summed up in poor plant health and poor soil health. So if we just handle those two factors, Mother Nature will take care of the rest, and you're going to have a good crop and a consistent crop year over year. And that's what the Kiminasi plant booster technology helps you do. It helps you reduce your chemical usage so that the plant will get healthier, the soil will get healthier. It's a sustainable solution. And over time, you're going to see a dramatic reduction in your input costs and a dramatic improvement in not only the quantity, but the quality of your yields also. So a couple of questions here. I got one question saying, does this technology work in hydroponics? The technology itself is designed to work in soil. Now, of course, we are looking to do some testing with hydroponics to see what kind of results we can get with our latest technology, which was released a couple of years ago. But it is designed to work in soil. So if you're a hydroponic grower and you want to run some tests with us and see and track the results with Cheminosid Plant Booster, we would love to work with you. But in terms of us guaranteeing you're going to get 20, 30, 40% increase in yield the way our soil farmers are getting, that's just something that we have to test. So if you're running a hydroponic operation, please let us know. We would love to work with you to develop testing so we can see how beneficial the Cheminosid technology is for hydroponic growth. In the meantime, though, anybody growing in soil is going to benefit tremendously with this technology. Any specialty grower is making 5, 10, 20, 30 times their return on investment. So if you're looking for that ideal solution that's sustainable, that's not chemical, will help reduce input cost and increase yield and quality of yield, then give us a call at 727-324-6750. It's our mission to help you reduce your chemical usage and produce a better quality product for everybody. And I look forward to helping you become part of the future of farming today. Have a great day, guys, and we'll talk again soon.